was blessed to learn these 5 mindsets, harsh truths, realizations, whatever you want to call it, that were pivotal in my journey to get me where I am now. Because if I didn't learn these things, I would have still been stuck on the hamster wheel of perpetual suffering that I was on. In my senior year of high school, I was starting to make content again, and one thing I was doing almost every single day was trying to convince my friends to join me on this journey of making YouTube videos, making content. And of course, I believed in this path. Look where I am now. But selfishly, the reason I was trying to get them to join me is because, one, I wanted friends to do the same thing I was doing because it would be more motivational for us to all get together and make little YouTube videos. And two, if they were doing it as well and we were all filming together, they could help me make videos. And they were seeming so open to the idea. They would even make a couple YouTube videos. We'd all hang out. It would be so great. And then they would fall off, they would stop making videos, their interests would shift. And at the end of every single one of these cycles, I was left by myself, making videos by myself, doing everything by myself. But flash forward around a year later, I dropped out of college, dropped everything, moved hours and hours away to a big city, Houston, Texas, and I was poor. And it was terrifying because I cut out the safety net beneath me to pursue my dreams, but as we all know, there's no such thing as an overnight success. And then to top it all off, the virus lockdowns happened.
This virus is ruining my life.
And my work hours got cut. I was making basically $0 in this shitty apartment. I didn't even have a full bedroom. It was more like a little studio room. And I realized that just like when I wanted my friends to help me with content, just like when I wish my parents could somehow help me or guide me through this when they had no idea what to do. They had no idea about the path I was on. Just like all the times in the past where I thought I had some big opportunity lined up through a friend and it fell through, I realized over and over and over the truth that is, nobody is coming to save you. And you might be thinking, well, no, you could have just moved in back with your parents, but they're not saving me. That is me voluntarily dropping out of the hero's journey that I was on and going back into the safety net that could quickly drown me in comfort. I'm going to assume that you're a pretty ambitious guy with goals that exceed the average person's. And a trap that we all fall into is when we're in the mud, when we're in the trenches, we're just waiting on this saving grace, this opportunity, this mentor that has all the answers. And you quickly come to realize, if you're paying attention, that that is not reality 99% of the time. You may have some help, but no one's going to save you from the situation you're in except for yourself. And in fact, no one cares about the situation nearly as much as you do. There's nobody who could have came into my life and made my content for me, developed the skill sets required to be successful, fixed my mental health. Because when you're embarking on the hero's journey, the whole point is that you cross the threshold alone. Sure, you will have friends, maybe mentors and things along the way, but typically that is on the other side of the shit that you have to eat. It was only when I realized and accepted that I can't rely on anything out of my control. People's actions are always going to be out of my control, and thus I need to take complete autonomy over my own life, my own actions, my own responsibilities, that I actually started making better decisions, that I actually stopped feeling sorry for myself or had a victim mindset or waiting around twiddling my thumbs for the perfect opportunity to be handed to me, that I was able to actually start making progress on the things I wanted to accomplish. But I still had a major issue because I was constantly overthinking. I was constantly consuming content, learning, watching all the YouTube videos, the podcasts, the courses, the books, because I thought that the magic secret that would fix all my problems, I'd get 100K subscribers, I'd make $100,000 was just around the corner. And it took far too many times than I would like to admit that I just kept coming to the same conclusion. You already have the answers. So a little less than a year ago, a guy that I really liked dropped a masterclass, and it was $5,000. And I read all about it. I even got on a sales call and talked to the sales guy all about it. And I didn't make a decision. And I said, I'm going to think about it. And then a month passed. And then 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. And after almost 5 months of going back and forth, oh, should I do it? Should I not? I realized no matter what, the answer was that I should have done it in the first place. And you might be thinking, oh, well, clearly if you needed another program, doesn't that mean you don't have all the answers? Well, no, because the direct things I was dealing with at the time was, should I buy this thing? And me knowing that I should learn more and buy this thing is still the answer that I needed. It is the answer for the next action that you should take. And you always have the answer within you. The problem is that especially if you're trying to improve yourself, we get stuck in this learning loop of illusion. I just need one more podcast and then I'll be a millionaire. When all that is mental masturbation and procrastination. Because when you are overthinking, when you're overwhelmed with information or options and you feel like you don't have the answers, what you really need to do is to zoom out, to take a mindful metacognition approach to your current situation and allow your consciousness to open up so that your subconscious mind can feed you the answer. And then it's just a matter of taking action on that, which very simple thing you could do is just get the answer and then write down 2 to 3 levers or actions that you could take that day or the next day to start working towards that. And if you want to build the mental muscle, the skill that is metacognition, I highly recommend you checking out my free 5-day guided meditation series in the description. Or if you want my full 30-day series that takes you from a complete beginner to a master of mindfulness, of metacognition, of presence, of awareness, check out Conscious Catalyst. So there are people who have more money than you just because they were born into a richer family. Or maybe they won the lottery. Or maybe they just knew the right guy and got an opportunity and it was just kind of handed to them. And it's easy for us to go, well, he got lucky, or he's just a really lucky guy. Good things just happened to him. I was guilty of this very thing. I would see people doing better than me and I would try to find reasons to say, oh, they got lucky because of this or that, and that's why they have more subscribers or make more money or have better friends or have a better physique than me. And it wasn't until I read the book Millionaire Fastlane, it's actually right here behind me, that the author uses Mark Cuban, who was criticized and said, oh, you got lucky for trading in the technology boom. You got lucky to sell your company for $6 billion. That I had the realization that luck is just probability. And the moment you accept this as truth is the moment you can take back control over your life, because luck is like this mystical, magical force that blesses some people and curses others, whereas probability is a percentage. It is a metric that can be altered by you. I had a friend who was in a very down bad situation in life. He had issues with finances, he had issue with friends, with girls, and when we would talk about it, he would always say, why did these things happen to me, man? It always happens to me. I'm so unlucky. If I were to go out and purchase a really nice car, like a Ferrari, I would probably then be driving around and notice other nice cars. Like, oh, look, that guy just got a Ferrari. There's a McLaren. There's a Lamborghini. There's an Aston Martin. I guess everyone just got supercars all of a sudden. No, there was already that number of supercars out on the road. It's that my mind is unconsciously primed to seek out and spot other supercars. Similar to if you believe that you're unlucky, your mind is going to search out instances that reinforce that belief. And so this is where it gets a little contradictory, because even though I think you shouldn't believe in luck, you should believe in probability, and you should work to becoming undeniable for the things you want to achieve in life, if you do believe that you inherently are lucky somehow, or what I like to do is I like to think I'm blessed, I'm spiritual, I believe in God. If you believe that powers beyond you work in your favor, or even if you just believe that your subconscious is working in your favor, you are going to be primed to seek out wins in your day-to-day life. And here is my simple equation to increase your probability. Consistency times time equals wisdom, and consistency times wisdom equals success, or increasing probability. And if you want to skip the first half of that equation in terms of wisdom on your personal development journey and reprogramming your mind to be confident, focused, and disciplined, you can check out Mental Mastery if you want. But even when you do start being consistent and making efforts, there's a major trap that I see pretty much everyone, including myself, fall into. I had a student, we'll call him Nathan, and he hated himself. He was a teenager going through his self-improvement arc when he came to me, and on paper it seemed like he was doing everything right. Daily exercise, meditations, reading, entrepreneurship. Yet despite all of this, he kept sabotaging himself with this one bad habit. He'd have weeks where he just felt so disciplined, he was making great progress, but once he encountered some little mental struggles, he would instantly fall back into this bad habit. But the thing is, Nathan's problem was not the bad habit. And I've been in the same exact position, so I knew that it wasn't really his fault. We've been sold this idea that you must do X to become Y. Make the money to become rich. With the bad habits to become disciplined. Get the girls to become confident. We hold this vision of a higher self, and if we just do these good things year after year, we will eventually become him. But after researching books on psychology, success, and even the more esoteric methods to a better life, I realized that this cannot be further from the truth, and that going about things this way is the perfect recipe for insecurity, relapses, and just robbing yourself of joy in the process. Nathan didn't hate himself because he did the bad habit. He did the bad habit because he hated himself. And that is because you should become before the outcome. Most guys don't understand this. Even some of the biggest self-improvement creators do not get this. But the identity that you desire does not follow a certain outcome. The certain outcome you desire follows the identity. And if you continue trying this backwards, like Nathan was doing, you are chasing a carrot on a stick, because your conscious efforts are being constantly held back by your subconscious, which is trying to follow those self-beliefs that you have about yourself. But this is actually great news, because it means that we don't have to rely on external outcomes to have internal transformations, which is all that self-improvement really is. So if you currently find yourself in a similar situation, I urge you to do the following. Just pause and recognize that you've been doing things backwards. Take note of any recent examples of self-sabotage that you have. Spoiler alert, most of your struggles are self-inflicted. And ask yourself, what version of yourself is actually required to achieve the outcomes you desire? What version of yourself that you currently are not do you need to become to actually get those things? But this perfectly ties into the 5th lesson. I'm just going to be straight up and tell you, you are brainwashed. I was so lost. I was so confused. I was addicted to porn, video games, YouTube, social media. I was so insecure. I had anxiety, I had depression, and nothing changed until I realized that I have been programmed to do and feel and think these very things. And there are so many factors that play into this. It's how you were raised by your parents. It's the music you listen to. It's the media you consume. It's the friend group you're in. It's the society you live in. And the bittersweet truth is, no matter what, you are always going to be brainwashed. However, instead of being subjected to the brainwashing of things out of your control, you can brainwash yourself for the things you desire. Whoever you think you are is completely and utterly malleable. For example, I used to listen to a very specific type of hip hop, extremely degenerate, borderline demonic, but I liked it. I liked playing it in the car with my friends while working out, and I thought that was a part of who I am. But then I learned about brainwashing, and I decided I'm just going to cut music completely out, and I'm going to take complete control over my inputs. The inputs are the things that you allow to enter your mind, your conscious mind, and then your subconscious mind. And since I've now programmed, brainwashed myself into a better version of myself, the higher self, and a better person in general, I don't like that music anymore. I'll admit that it's catchy, but I actively avoid it. Every single word you hear or read or think about is writing script in your brain as if it was a computer. So take responsibility on this by cutting out all the negative influences in your life and introducing positive influences as much as possible. And look, I'll be honest, I lied to you. There is a 6th harsh truth, but it is far too in-depth for me to cover in this video, and that is that you're suffering, you're struggling right now because you want to. And I know you may not believe me. After all, you're watching a self-improvement video, you have goals, you have desires, but look, I can't break this down in this video, so click the video on the screen right now where I go into detail on why you want to suffer and why you want to struggle and how to fix it so that you can stop. Bye-bye.